Hello and welcome to Flagstaff TV. Today we are joined by Brad George, the CEO of Orosur Mining. Brad, thank you very much for joining us today.
Catherine, pleasure.
Brad, we note the announcement today regarding the LOI at Anza. Is this the beginning or the end? What happens now?
Well, I guess in Churchillian speak, it is the end of the beginning. This is basically the firing of the starting gun. So we've agreed on the terms and we've outlined those in the announcement. We've agreed on what the transaction is, which is key. There was some doubt over the last few months. So we are buying MMA, and that is transaction. Buying a company is always, I won't say fraught, but there are considerations that must be taken into account. It's not our company, it's been around for a couple of years. So we will run two things in parallel. One is the DD on that company, look at all the accounts, look at all the history to make sure we're not inheriting any liabilities or anything smelly. And then in parallel, we'll be dealing with the share purchase agreement, which outlines all the terms. So they'll run in parallel. The DD starts tomorrow. We expect to get the first draft of the agreement into this week, but again, the terms have largely been agreed. And off we go. Now, everyone seems to be in a hurry, but then they have in the past, we'll see. So we are targeting end of April, but there are obviously, subject to what we find in the DD process. I don't expect anything smelly in there. These are big grown-up companies, so I expect it to be run in a grown-up fashion. So it's just this is a starting gun. So we're off to the races tomorrow.
Now, Brad, when do you expect to be back on the ground working and in what form?
Well, as I said, end of April is the plan, and we certainly hope to hit that. But we'll have a good go. But we're not going to wait until that's done to begin the process of planning. So we want to be drilling at Pepas. That's our first priority. That walk-up drill target that was left there by Agnico Newmont is an obvious target when you've got those kinds of numbers from surface over huge distances with an unresolved orientation issue. That to us is just very exciting. So we want to be drilling in May. So at the moment we've begun, while doing all the transaction stuff, we've begun to talk to drillers. We've got drilling quotes in. It's nice to see the drilling costs have come off about 30% since 3 years ago. So it's a bit quiet in Colombia. So they're sharpening their pencil. We've talking to laboratories. For example, in the past, all of the drilling samples were sent to Peru, and long-term holders would know the huge delays we had in assays during COVID. We'll send the samples to another lab in Medellin. They're promising a 3-day turnaround. Now, I'll believe when I see it, but that will make a significant difference to what we've had in the past. So we want to be drilling in May. I told the team early May, and I'm going to push them, not too hard, so it may end up being mid to late May, but May is when we want to be starting. We're getting the camp dusted off. We're doing all the permitting. We're talking to the locals, doing the social work. This is, we're taking it seriously. So we are assuming that we'll go ahead. Now, we have to be fair and say, it is subject to DD, but I don't expect to find anything in that work that would stop the process, but let's just be honest and say it's possible. So everyone is expecting to be drilling in May. We're drilling shorter holes because of the way, and I'll give a webinar in a few weeks to sort of show some of the pictures of how it works, but we're drilling shallow holes into Pepas, and each hole will take 5 days to drill, a couple of days to prepare, get to the lab, 4-day turnaround assays. So what we're doing is going to be a much faster rotating program than what was done in the past with this deep drilling that Newmont Agnico did. So May's the date, and we're going to do things a little bit differently than our partners did to get the news flow running at a slightly faster clip.
Now, we can see you're paying quite a lot for 49%. Can you speak to the structure of the deal?
Whether or not we paid too much ultimately depends upon what you find. And I think the key point is, well, there's several key points. The default option for us was simply to reassume 51%, and then over time spend money, and then we'll dilute MMA down over some period of time, some unknown period of time. Now that's fine, but as I said, I think the last chat, the difficulty with that is, one, it's an uncertain length of time, and two, we have no idea what the end game would be in terms of equity, because MMA could always elect to come back in again at any time should they like results. So what are we? How do you value a company where you never actually know what the equity we're going to hold in the project is, or what the end game is? We're sort of stuck in this sort of limbo, and we can't do a deal. We can't sell the project. We can't bring a new partner in. It's not a very nice position to be. So for us, getting it back 100% was just absolutely key. From day one, get it 100%. We have options. Everyone knows who we are, what we've got. We're removing all the doubt and uncertainty, but we have to pay for that. And we had lots of chat with the partners about, one, about how much, and two, about when. And there were chats about money up front, and we said, well, that's not going to happen. And then chats about money being paid upon certain milestones, like a resource or a BFS. And our view always was that we really don't want to be introducing more uncertainty, more risk. I mean, if for example, we said there was a big payment upon a resource or a BFS, then that's money that we would need to find in a couple of years' time. And what if the markets are closed? We can't raise the money. Then what happens then? So we said, look, the only way it works to remove uncertainty is that we only pay money once everything's done. We've found a deposit, we've proved it up, we've built it, and we're running it. And we pay you money from cash flow. So that was our absolutely non-negotiable term. And then it was dollars. And our view was, well, this is an amount of money that the project can afford. It was enough to keep them happy, but not so much that it would impact upon the ability of the project to be financial, to be economic, or to be built. So it was, to us, a nice middle ground. But most importantly, it's only paid once all the risks have been eliminated. And once we've built a mine that's going to cost, I don't know, $200 million, then the kind of money we're talking about, is not quite noise, but certainly down there amongst the noise. And also imagine, of course, that this is 7 or 8 years' time. So if we look at the current inflation rates, the amount of money we're paying in 7 years' time is basically discounted by half. So to me, it's a very cheap price to pay for what we think is an amazing project, particularly given we don't pay until we're producing.
Brad, finally for today, looking at your other projects, do you now have the capacity to carry on with them?
The short answer is yes. The longer answer is at a slower pace. Now, those other projects are all early stage, and we think they're geologically excellent, but we went into them on the basis that Ansar was being funded by our major partners. Now, getting Ansar back changes everything, but only because that's now our best project. We want to focus on that. It's also a quite expensive place to work. The drilling is expensive. That's number one. Colombia, holding land in Colombia is ferociously expensive. It's something like 15, 20 times higher cost to own licenses there than in, say, Argentina. So there's very much an incentive to not sit around and wait, because you're just burning cash. So the cost of holding land, the attractiveness of the project, the ability to walk up and drill Pepas in May is just too compelling to walk away from. So that does create, in our minds, a bit of a need to reshuffle priorities. So for the moment, that's all hands on deck for Ansar and Pepas. The other projects remain ticking along, but because we can drill fast, because we can get results back fast, and we hope they're going to be really good results as we start, then we can reassess in June, July. But so they're not going anywhere. But for the moment, it's all about Ansar.
Brad, great to catch up with you today, and congratulations.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you also for watching Flagstaff TV.